Lo-fi guaranteed. I'm coming at you with a dulcet volume here. It is 1:30 a.m. on September 14th, 2021. The early morning hours of the last day to vote in the Gavin Newsom recall election here in California. Over the course of my life, I have observed the quality of life in this state just get lower and lower and lower. The prices on houses go up and up and up. I had all but lost hope of ever even owning property in the state. The city of Los Angeles is a depressing, soul-sucking place to live, and I'm kind of trying to escape. I'm not the kind of person who would come to Los Angeles. I'm, I guess, the kind of person who wound up in Los Angeles. But nevertheless, here I am in California doing my thing and working on stuff like the World Storm, subscribe to my YouTube channel, yada yada. Now, obviously, Governor Gavin Newsom is no small part of the problems plaguing California. He's as slimy and greasy and corrupt a politician as you can get. Everybody says it reminds him of American Psycho, and you know, he gets clipped a lot, just kind of acting like, it's a little bit crazy, a little bit coked out, I think. And the challenger with the most campaign energy behind him is Larry Elder, a conservative talk radio host. This guy has spent a lot of time talking, and that gives the sensationalist press a lot of ammo to spin their hit pieces out of. But he has a really solid campaign platform. He just wants a lot of stuff that's really popular with a lot of Americans these days.
And you may loathe populism, but I tell you a funny thing, it's becoming very popular.
All that to say that I was catching up on the news stories of the day. So this is really yesterday's news, but I saw this a lot with the headline bombshell accusation attached to it. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll catch up on this sooner or later. I finally get around to looking into this at the end of the day, and holy shit. This is Rose McGowan, the lady who blew the whistle on Harvey Weinstein and exposed the casting couch culture in Hollywood. And later on out comes the Epstein-Weinstein connection. It's just this constant unraveling thread of corruption, like a sweater that's coming undone, like that Weezer song. At any rate, Rose McGowan is sort of a feminist icon as well, and her teaming up with this conservative iconic radio host who has definitely said plenty of things that feminists would take issue with, them teaming up like this is like, this is the alliance that breaks the culture war. This is like the World War I Christmas truce. And this time she's spilling the beans on Gavin Newsom's wife. I was 6 minutes into this video and I was like, I have to record something about this. I don't know, that's my content creator instinct starting to kick in. So I guess Lo-Fi Guaranteed is a political hot takes show. I mean, that's basically the one thing that is carried across the last two videos and this one. So alright, I do a political show now too. Alright, cut the chatter red too. Let's just watch this thing already.
And for me, when I was younger, I bought the whole right-wing machine coming after Hillary Clinton, sexism, which is true, that's not wrong. But it doesn't mean it wasn't used as a shield to get away with a lot of nasty things. And so finally I had to come to the point where I'm not a Democrat, because everybody who's systematically traumatized, terrorized, harassed, stalked, and stolen from me during my time in California and in Hollywood has been a Democrat. But every single one of you in here really knows what the skinny is, what the truth is, unless you really want to live a lie. And the thing I realized during the lobbying group that I was with, no labels, Republicans and Democrats working across the aisles. What that meant to me was like, behind the scenes, I got to see them all through cameras. And they were all pretty much talking the same game. And they were kind of all in on it together.
He's casting light here on the idea of what we call the uniparty, The notion that the Democrats and the Republicans are not actually two separate political parties that are working against each other or with each other. They certainly aren't working with each other. Or are they? They're actually most definitely working with each other. I don't think you could distill the dog and pony show of political theater any better than with Democrats and Republicans. It's the sort of thing you would invent for a dystopian novel, which our lives are resembling more and more all the time. The Republicans will be in charge for a decade or so, then the Democrats will be in charge for a decade or so, then the Republicans, Democrats, and through this walking motion, pendulum swing, two wings of the same bird, however you want to describe it or understand it, it's always moving in a direction of totalitarianism. Or the frog in the boiling pot, that's another good metaphor. Anyway, back to Rose McGowan.
I was at an event a month before the Hillary-Trump election in New Hampshire, and I realized in this room of the most powerful Democrats and Republicans, with no cameras there, they were saying who they were. So I tricked a young assistant with a little headpiece. After the governor speaks, they want you to bring me the microphone. Now, I had only seen hijacking in movies, so I didn't know what to say when I stood up in front of this very powerful room that I had never, I didn't know where I was that night. So I got up, and I said, this is a hijacking. I didn't know how to express exactly what I was doing. I still really don't know how to express exactly what it is I do. But one truth I do know is this man here, Larry Elder.
Wait, no. Don't just brush past that. What? So she was a lobbyist and she was in a room full of powerful Republicans and Democrats and told the room that this is a hijacking? What? No, go. That sounds like a really interesting story. Did you get some sweet blackmail out of that? Okay, so this was a huge story in 2015 and I'm just a big dummy.
I listened to him on AM Radio 640.
Look at Larry this whole time. He hardly moves at all. Holy shit.
So I ask you today, do you want to keep living this collective lie? Do you want to star in their movie? Or do you want to be real? Do I agree with him on all points? No. So what? He is a better candidate, he is a better man. And I heard him for hours and hours and hours, for years. I really got to know his mind. Thank you. It was nice spending time with you, sir.
Oh, you made it. He smiled.
He's a brilliant man.
This is just such a strange pairing. This is Larry Elder, the guy who carpet bombs Dave Rubin on the subject of systemic racism.
Well, as a black conservative, tell me how do you get people to come around?
You're the one who made the assertion that you think racism remains a major problem in America. I asked you to give me an example. You gave me white cops going after blacks. As far as I'm concerned, you didn't hold it up very well. What's the other argument you have? What's the other thing? Well,
I don't know that it's systemic in the sort of macro sense.
I'm not mad. I just want to know what it is you're talking about.
That's exactly what.
And Rose McGowan, who I'm sure I've seen memes of this lady, saying retarded bullshit on Twitter. Here they are joining forces to carpet bomb the political establishment together. It's awesome.
Now this is
reaching across the aisle.
You're not saying the right word, or you're not doing this right, or you're not inclusive, you're not tolerant.
She's dunking on SJWs. I can't believe it.
So imagine my surprise last week when I'm on the Dave Rubin show, and we're talking about the recall, which I'd only had kind of a tangential awareness of, but it came back to me. Gavin Newsom's ex-wife contacted me. And I said her name, and he said, that's his current wife. I said, it is? I mean, I had so many monsters after me during the period that she made contact.
I watched that clip I didn't watch this far into this video earlier, but I watched that clip. Is it just me, or is Dave Rubin silently becoming one of the most powerful men in politics?
Rave Dubin. Rave. Do you agree with that? I agree with that.
So after Dave tells me that she's his current wife, on the way home, I go through my emails and I remembered, I said, his ex-wife called me and said, what will it take? What can Boyce Schiller do to make you happy? Now, I had no idea who Boyce Schiller was at this point. This is about 4.5 months before the expose that I set up in the New York Times came out. I didn't know dude. voice was. I didn't know he was an operator trying to suppress me. At this point, I did not know that he had already gone to former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak of Israel and say, who should I hire to stop Rose McGowan?
There's always an Israeli connection.
So when I finally got on the phone with Jennifer Siegel Newsom for what I assumed was about movie projects, imagine my surprise when she says, what can Boyce Schiller do to make you happy? And I had no idea who that was. So I just said nothing and hung up on her. That was my last contact with her. I traveled the world and I've had so many people say to me, Americans are the most uneducated. Not wrong, but they are wrong in this. It's undereducated. It's systematic, and it's done to you all on purpose to keep you part of a complicity machine that benefits you. This is not a country or a state for everyone. This is a country for the few. This is
Listen to that in Alex Jones's voice. I can hear that in Alex Jones's voice.
People like hair gel in the Bahamas. Okay, that's the reality, and I really wish I had better news. It gives me no pleasure. Who do you want to govern you? Someone who cares passionately, even though you may disagree with him on some points? Or do you want somebody who's really operating behind the scenes to keep you all in ignorance while they rob the bank and go to the Bahamas?
I want to say a few things about the way I've been covered during this campaign, the way I've been treated during this campaign, and how hypocritical members of the media have been in this campaign before I did.
Honestly, I wasn't even expecting them to speak. I thought he was just there to stay. I don't know how, but somehow it feels like the candidate going after the other candidate's wife doesn't feel as sleazy as what the other candidates are up to. Remember what the Democrats love to remind us: black voices matter. Well, no, not his though. And you must always listen and believe women. Oh, not when she comes after us.
Hypocrisy number 3. The other day in Venice, at a homeless encampment, some white woman in a gorilla mask threw an egg at me. It would have been a major story if I had a D at the end of my name. They'd be talking about it in
They have been talking about it in Bangladesh. I've heard this line before.
There was an article on the front page of the New York Times, all about me, negative of course. Never once mentioned that I am black, never once mentioned that I would be the first black governor of California. That's fine with me. But on the same page, long article about the, quote, first female governor of New York, close quote. So it was relevant to the New York Times when this female governor, who only became governor because Cuomo resigned, was the first. But it's not.
Another. Hey, anybody remember that Jon Stewart segment from The Daily Show back in the day? The Audacity of Grope? Yeah, who was the subject of that?
I can still see it! What could you possibly be saying to her?
Hypocrisy, double standard. Now, I was accused of sexism because I wrote a column 21 years ago where I was quoting a study from the University of Pennsylvania, Annenberg, where they asked women 25 questions and men 25 questions about politics. And it turned out men knew more than women did in 15 of the questions. They knew the same in 9, and women knew only more in 1. And I quoted a female professor who's still there, and she said the reason women knew less is because they get their primary source from local news. My apologies to people here from local news. And she said, and I quote, watching local news makes you dumber, close quote. I didn't say it, she did. And all of a sudden, I'm sexist and I believe that women are less intelligent than men.
That's how you write a hit piece, by the way. It basically just nitpick some dumb thing somebody said. It doesn't even have to be a dumb thing. All you have to do is spin it to make it sound horrible. This is what they've been doing to Trump for 6 years and never before then. I predict he's about to bring up the other hit piece that's been going on around him about basically that they're saying that he said that slave owners should have deserved reparations. Where's the lie? That's how every other country that freed its slaves, by paying the slave owners, by buying their freedom. Essentially, that's reparations.
Someone made a false allegation against me. I denied it. You've heard the allegation that rose yesterday about Gavin Newsom's wife. She made the allegation, 3 days ago? Where's the Washington Post? Wrote the article about me. Where's the New York Times? wrote the article about me. Where's CNN? Where's Politico? Where are you? Now, what Rose said about Gavin Newsom's wife is a bombshell. His wife contacts Rose and says, what can we do to make you happy? What can we do to make this story go away? Right before the Harvey Weinstein story blew up. That's all you guys would be talking about if the allegations were made about me or my significant other.
Jesus fucking Christ. History is being made in California. I'm not lying when I say that my decision to remain in the state of California or leave may very well rest with the decisions that Governor Larry Elder is going to make in office. And there could be bigger implications for this recall election across the country. All of the enthusiasm in this election right now is behind Elder. Everywhere Newsom goes, he gets booed. Everywhere Elder goes, he gets cheered. Who does that remind you of? So Larry Elder has already said that if Newsom is not recalled, then he's going to sue to audit the results, because a lot of things are better left unsaid, but KTLA has already picked up a story of suspicious voting machine behavior. Anyway, that's that for now. I eagerly await the results of this recall election. I think that no matter what happens, it's definitely going to be interesting. It's going to be the month-long election night all over again.